Hi guys, it's Rick Shiels here with Dan Whittaker down here at his studio at High Legh, and this is lesson number 2. If you've not seen lesson number 1, my first real proper lesson, the eye in the corner, go and click on that. And I thought that lesson was impressive. Wait till you see what we've done today. I mean, it's been incredible.
Yeah, it's gone great.
So I've just had a 2-hour full swing lesson with Dan. We're going to show you the changes from last week to this week of what already changed, and also the start of last week to the end of this week, and the improvement is unrecognizable. I mean, the swings are unrecognizable to each other, they really are. So let's get cracking. Just a quick summary of what I did this week. I did loads of practice, really worked hard on it, kept sending golf swings to Dan. He's sick of all the WhatsApp he was getting of my golf swing. And he's been very, very nice in responding and just saying, oh, that needs fine-tuning. He watched the course log that I did with Pete and saw a couple of ways that I was doing it out on the golf course as well. And then let's continue.
Yeah, so we had a look, first of all, I had a look at Rick's video on the course, and we had a little look at, we're going to go to the session here, we've done a bit to do with practice and pre-shot routine and different ways of being able to practice, and also then taking the changes out on the golf course. So things that I like to call a process and an outcome driven type of practice session, and the things that you're tending to concentrate on are different to one another. So the process is more what Rick's trying to feel in terms of the changes, whereas the outcome is all about what's happening to the ball flight. So the day before a competition or going out to play a match, anything when it is more necessary to think about where the shot's going, that's when that type of practice session should be, at the forefront of your concentration.
What I would say this week has been really beneficial, and I think apart from the fantastic advice Dan gave me last week, I think one of the biggest reasons why we've seen such a dramatic change this week is, first off, I have access to swing analysis. I have access to actually record my golf swing, and so do pretty much everybody watching. Everybody watching, I'm sure, has got a video on their phone, and recording the process for me was absolutely crucial this week, because the feel and the reel was so unbelievably different.
Yeah.
I needed to back it up with visual triggers and references, and that's why I think, without question, we've seen an incredible improvement last week, and then the improvement this week has just been unbelievable. So let's jump on the V1.
So we can see right here
the swing analysis.
Huge difference at the top of the backswing. So the one on the left-hand side of the screen is the one from the start of last week's lesson. So, and this is the one on from the end of this week's session. So you see a huge difference. Left arm's miles lower down, right elbow's now staying in, so much tighter. The differences are astronomical. They're so different it's untrue.
And it's not just the pretty pictures, it's the actual launch and monitor data as well that has improved enormously, and we'll come to that soon.
So the thing that really pleased me was, obviously last week we were first talking, Rick, about the changes, and the one on the left-hand side here is using the training aid, and we were both overjoyed with how good this actually looked at the end of last week. You take a look at that one now, which is here to the end of this week's session, it's poles apart.
So just point out a couple of things for everyone watching. What are the biggest factors that you notice between the two differences there?
Okay, so we've got the golf club now more laid off, so it's actually pointing to the left of the target over here. The right elbow is tighter and lower down, and you're actually slightly less tilted in your body position relative to the floor. So your head's slightly lower down in this direction before, whereas actually in a more neutral position here in the new one.
And just seeing that as well, would you say there's a bit of a difference in the left wrist position, or is that just a visual difference?
That's because of where the club was moving in the backswing. So what we said in last week's lesson, a couple of people had given us comments online, was that the set hadn't changed that much. Obviously, we can only do so much in each session. Is the club was a little bit more under, and the left arm was more across the body at this point. Okay, so when that happens, the arms then tend to lift up a little bit more, which will then push the club a little bit more across the line.
I feel like that left-hand image, video, is an unfair video because it had a training aid on it.
Yeah.
I almost feel like that was that felt unbelievably bizarre at that point.
Yeah.
But a week passed, and coming back even at the start of this lesson, it looked much more like that training aid swing. In fact, have we got that video? I'm sorry to put you on the spot there. Have we got first swing today compared to almost...
Let me see. I don't know if this is very first swing. I've got your first practice one of the new swing.
Yeah, there we go.
There we go.
I mean, that, to me, is unbelievable difference. That is training aid on the left-hand side, where the strap was tied to my bicep and then the clip was attached to my left belt. I could not go any further than that. That was limiting me. The swing on the right now is unbelievably better. That was at the start of today.
That was the start of the lesson.
What we've changed from there has been incredible. In fact, now can we throw in fantastic golf swing now on other sides so we can compare it against that one, if that's all right, Dan?
Yep, perfect.
So now, right-hand side is the start of this lesson, left-hand side is the end of this lesson.
So then we can see.
And I honestly thought the top of the backswing before was as good as I've ever seen it in my life. No longer. That one on the right looks awful now.
Yeah.
Compared to the swing on the left, it's tighter. It's more in contact with my body. There's more connection. The club, like Dan said, is now pointing to the left. It's shorter. It's just awesome. I love it.
Yeah,
I absolutely love it.
Big difference in the golf shaft position right there.
Just explain again, because again, this is your improvement, so you can take all the credit. Why is that so important?
Okay, well,
just for everyone watching.
We discussed kind of in the first session or even in the first meeting before the lesson, I was saying that it's so important to lower the plane of the arms for Rick, okay? Because when the arms get too high, they tend to want to drop down in the direction of the arrow here, which will make the club attack too far from the inside. When you get the left arm on a level that's more on the level of the body here, the handle will move more forwards and out on the way down. So we will see now those arms are getting more out and the club's getting a lot more left.
That one on the left had a path of 0. Was that one 6 or 4?
0.4.
0.4. Now that, granted, the distance was a little bit low on that for a 7-iron because I just misstruck it slightly. The shot before was 0.6 and I struck it better and therefore my distance was better. I just missed the strike on that last swing only because of it. That's the learning stage of it.
Absolutely.
That's the process side of it, isn't it?
Yeah, so we're not kind of focusing on the strike because Rick can already strike it really nicely. So what we did is we focused on the feelings of the areas in the swing that Rick needs to work on. So that is elbow, the shortness in the swing and the left arm position and going back. So what we did is when we were looking at those areas, we're trying to create a change for Rick that gives us some ownership in that golf swing.
Yeah, so it's quite interesting today when we were talking about this process, and only today was I able to actually identify whether I swung too long or too short. That happened once. Too short or too steep or didn't have the arm connected. I could start to relate the feelings to the reality of the swing.
Absolutely.
And last week, I definitely couldn't do that. And through the week of practice that I've had, I could not do that at all.
Not at all.
When now, because of the visual side of things and the feel and the real scenario and taking ownership of this movement, I started to identify what that movement actually felt like to me.
So what we did is, the first thing we did in the changes today is, we actually made a golf swing where Rick did it as slow as he could, because I've got thing here on the review cycle, which I like to call it. Okay, so the process is the practice swing, which we're trying to get the feeling for. And then we're seeing how close we could get on this swing. And this was a great swing. It was the first one feeling the left arm starting to rotate off the body.
So just explain that a little bit. So where we saw that image before, where my left arm would go across my body in the takeaway, we're now aiming to get this left arm coming back in a much straighter position. So it marries up to my alignment in my feet is the simplest way of explaining that. So again,
I'll show this, just bring in the one. So this is the very first swing, which was probably even more across than anything. This was the first one feeling the new left arm movement. So if we see this original one right here, we should start to see these arms are getting quite a long way across the body.
So if you look at my left arm positioning and then just stick a line on my feet there, Dan, and then one on my left arm, if you don't mind, just to identify this. So that's left arm position. You can see it's going on in an in manner. It doesn't marry up to my feet at all. And that is one of the issues that gets that club either going a little bit in and then up, but more importantly, it gets the club too far across the line. We look at the new swing, and as much as it's not perfect yet, it's a marked improvement. So for me to do that, look at the club positioning, by the way. For me to do that, I felt like my arm was going in a more out manner with my left, while my right elbow was still staying super tight. So I actually felt like both movements were going slightly opposite to each other. My left arm was going out, but my right arm was staying tight and tucked.
Yeah, I totally agree.
Just look at the angle difference there, the shaft.
Completely. And then we've got the hands. So the hands are now in line with the sternum in the new one as a reference point. And the centre of the hands, so where the hands join together on the grip, on the first swing, they're kind of almost in line with the right shoulder, or almost getting behind it.
I'd say behind it.
Probably there versus there.
Yeah, much more in line with everything. So it's taking away any of these inconsistent factors that cause me to hit bad golf shots.
Yeah.
What we discussed about today is I know I can hit good shots and I know I can hit good strikes, and that's not an issue. It's finding ways of being able to make this swing a more compact, solid action, which makes my delivery numbers better to make me hit better golf shots as a whole.
And so what we did is, on this first swing, we had a look at it from this kind of review cycle. So practice swing went into a commitment, which is basically, totally and utterly 100% committed to that new golf swing.
You could almost change that word committed to exaggerated. That's what it almost felt like.
Absolutely.
It was 100% what I felt like was exaggerated movement.
And then what we saw then is, as we took this to the top, this was the first actual swing.
Oh my God.
Okay, it just went a little long, but you can see here the difference in the direction. So, though it's long, we see a huge difference in where the actual club head is. You can see the club head here on their new one, the first practice swing, is in between the arms. Whereas before, it's way on the outside of the arms across the line. So although this is long, you see a massive difference. Now, for all you guys watching, here's probably the most important bit. We really didn't care what the strike was like on this. We were trying to create a feel for the new swing and just get a ball in the way whilst you actually made the movement.
Well,
so
if anything, I almost just tried to do the top of the backswing and I just tried to turn down. I didn't even try and hit it.
So we can see.
I promise you I didn't.
Want this the best one at the end of the lesson?
With editing, it'll look better. No, it's just a way of me I just wanted to make contact with a ball while making an exaggerated movement.
Yeah.
That was the big thing. I think sometimes golfers, when they try and work on a movement, because and everyone says, "Oh, my practice swing is so brilliant." Yeah, but there's no ball there.
Yeah.
Even just making contact with a ball with an object can change the way that you swing the golf club.
Yeah.
So I'd always put an object there of some description, even if you have to tickle it out of the driving range bay. I know people are going to look at you thinking, we'll use this chopper, but I still think it's important.
I completely agree.
Wouldn't you? Wouldn't you say that having an object to hit, because how many times have you heard, my practice swing is so good?
Yeah, and having the object there, we all react to the ball.
Yeah.
And we stop.
Speed up of some description, don't we?
I kind of use the analogy of it's like climbing Everest. You've got stages, base camps you can go to, and you're never going to be taken to the top of Everest in one day. You're probably going to die. So you have these base camps, and if you get altitude sickness at one of the levels, you can come back. So I like to think of the speed of the swing is like these base camps that you can move up and down the level. So if you lose the feeling at a faster swing, you can go back to the slower swing to get the feeling, and that's how you're then going to be able to review what you're doing or evaluate what you're doing to, as we talked about, a world-class level. Then it means you can then start to take ownership of those changes, and the new golf swing then becomes your golf swing.
Yeah, exactly that. I thought it was really important, just to control the speed of the swing, and just to get the movement, just to nail the movement, make sure it's absolutely perfect.
Yeah.
And then we went from there? We went into
having a look at this. This was the next one that we saved along. So this was the feeling of the left arm.
So left arm felt again like it was going in and can you just put an arrow on that? Just
certainly.
In fact, can I just stick an arrow? Oh, go on, you stick it.
No.
It felt to me like my arm was way in front of my body.
That way.
Yeah. But my right elbow was still super tight.
Yeah.
That's what it felt like to me. So it felt like they were both almost working slightly against each other.
we can see here at the top.
That was actually the one that was a fraction too short.
Yeah. But I mean, look at it. It's
said
awesome.
That. Yeah, it's really tight, really super tight.
You know, now, if we actually, and that we were both delighted with at the time, but then we bring in the one from the end of the session next to it. Okay, so the one on the left is the one that was a fraction short. Okay.
Yeah.
And then this was the one that we both really liked at the end. And we can see here, look at the difference right there. You know, the elbows tighter, left arms even a bit lower, right hips loaded back a bit more, in posture better. I mean, look, your body looks so strong at the top there.
It's good, isn't it? I love it. I absolutely love it. I think it's just, I think the difference, I've never, ever seen me swing that compact, that tight, that kind of controlled in a way. And also, on that shot, the one that I hit well, again, I know I misstruck that particular one, the best of the best one, 168 for a 7.9. I was more than happy with that. We actually hit 2 golf shots in a row. I hit 168.4, and the very next shot I hit 168.5.
So, yeah.
Oh, sorry, the other way around. 168.5 and then 168.6.
With a 0.8 path and a 0.6 path.
And then one more up, 0.4. So you just hover the mouse over where people should be looking on that, actually. So this section here.
Yeah, this is where we are. So 0.4 was the last shot. Then we've got 0.6 and 0.8. Well, anything that is below a path of 1.8, okay, and with a club face that's working in conjunction with it, is going to produce something that is less than, got less than a yard of movement.
Well, you can see on screen there, it is just slightly moved in the air, not much.
And then the one before was a fraction just open club face. This one was a laser.
That was brilliant. I just caught it off the bottom. I didn't strike it. And that, it's just a teething issue. I'm not bothered about that. Even when I played on the golf course with Pete last week, and still vlogs are going out of that this week, I wasn't bothered if I didn't strike it brilliant. I knew that was going to come. I know I can strike it. I can put, and this is, I don't know, maybe the difference between working with a slightly more elite player, better player, and I'm calling myself that, is I could almost put any golf swing on it, and after a few shots I can learn to strike it. Still, so many will try and get into these positions but can't actually strike the ball anyway. Still
totally
people
agree.
Still need to learn how to strike the ball.
Absolutely. Because I think in Rick's defence, fairness to him, etc., in terms of making the change, I think because you demo quite a bit during your lessons, and because you've got a good understanding of the swing, you've been able to incorporate these changes. But you've been able to still find the face because or the centre of the face, because you'll demonstrate students' problems and still strike a pretty good shot.
Yeah, well, I do a swing in a lesson where I do a ridiculous golf swing that's just stupid, and I can strike it unbelievable. And I can put a golf swing on it that makes it look like a bit more like a golf swing and purposely misstrike it.
Yeah.
And it's just to show that actually strike is still that massive factor in this. What we're working on now is we've got strike, we know how that works, we know how to hit a golf ball. It's how do we now just make that action so much more consistent in the shape of the shot. I can't get over that difference.
It's
how
massive.
Awesome is it?
It looks amazing.
Honestly, I love it. I think it's so good. Just a note as well, we've not done the 3D system today because from last week, Dan had seen enough on the 3D system to know what we're going to work on already today.
Yeah.
That was the case of it, wasn't
Absolutely. You know, we already had, we had the data, we'd made the plan last week. I'd watched Rick on the golf course from some of the videos, knew how we were going from the week, how it was progressing, and I knew what we wanted to add into the plane. So I knew that we could use the video to...
How good does that look?
Amazing.
How good does that look? Remember last time my knee was massively coming in, my left arm wasn't staying straight, I was tilted too far to the left.
Let's put the original one in just so we can remind ourselves just how far we've come.
Oh, did that go on the wrong? Oh, that's good.
Original.
Oh, behave. That's just ridiculous difference, isn't it?
Behave
you get
like
it
that.
in 10 seconds on the gas, but it's going to cut out.
Yeah.
Oh,
look at that. Width,
outrageous.
everything. It's fantastic.
So what I feel like I can do now on that image on the right is I feel like I can turn hard. I feel like I can turn really hard through the shot. And honestly, never miss it left. That's my feeling at the moment. On the golf course when I was playing in the week, I missed a few left, but I was more because of a bad strike, because I'm still having this idea of trying to get my left shoulder to move slightly more away from the middle point of what I feel is normal. So my bottom of my swing is just a little bit confused at the moment. I'm catching a few thin, I'm catching a few fat, but really nothing to be concerned about whatsoever. When I get it, the strike feels effortless, and I'm still getting fantastic distances, fantastic ball flight, less curvature, more consistency. I'm feeling tighter within my swing. It's feeling less strenuous.
Yeah.
It feels to me like it's much easier, the whole action now, which is so exciting, it's untrue. So, another fantastic golf lesson. We were going to do some pitching. I don't know if we're going to have time, are we? We'll see.
Yeah, we have.
We'll get some pitching done. Hopefully another video's coming soon. Guys, don't forget, as always, go and subscribe to Dan on his YouTube channel. Create some fantastic content. Already jumped massively up in subscribers last week. And if you haven't subscribed yet, go and do that by clicking the big icon here in the corner or by clicking his logo down here. Lesson now, we're not sure about when the next one's going to be. My wife is still holding baby and due to have baby anytime soon. So it's just going to be a little bit up in the air for this time, but doesn't mean I'm not going to keep working hard on this golf swing. That is just golden. I just love it.
Yeah, it's
I think
fantastic.
it's class. Guys, thanks for watching. Anything to add, Dan?
No, delighted with the progress so far. Changes are fantastic.
He said best student ever. He said the best student he's ever had in the world. Definitely come from the words of Dan. Look at it, he's like that thinking, no, don't say that, because I say that to all my students. That was class. Thanks so much, Dan. Appreciate it. Let's try and get some pitching done. And we'll see you next time for a golf lesson, whenever that may be. Hopefully very soon. Awesome.
Thanks a lot.
That's just class. I just love it.